Love Languages Decoded. We're going to talk about how to understand your partner well. This is a fun topic, everybody. I'm Dr. Karyn Gordon. I've been doing this work for over 25 years, working with businesses, family businesses, relationships. My doctorate's in marriage and family. I've been practicing, had family practice for, like I said, over 25 years. And so this topic is so awesome. But I'm also going to talk to you today as a spouse. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching you something that I do certainly with our clients. We have a global leadership coaching company. I'm going to teach you with what we do with our clients, but I'm also going to share with you in terms of what we do in my own personal life actually as well with my husband and my children, because this is one of those topics that is so exciting. We can apply it to all parts of our life. Okay, so get out your pen and paper, and I'm going to explain to you how to do it. Okay, so Love Languages Decoded. So first of all, The Love Languages is a fabulous book. I did not write it. It was written by Gary Chapman, and I first learned about this book over 20 years ago. So my husband and I have been married to an incredible human for 22 years, and my husband actually suggested when we were dating that he thought it'd be a really good idea for us to do premarital counseling, which I thought was interesting because that was kind of the background, and that was what I was at the time I was studying. Actually, I think I already was practicing. I was practicing already by the time that we were actually dating, but he really thought it'd be a really good idea for us to have like a third party just to kind of like weigh into our relationship, which I strongly recommend. I think everybody should do it. I think it's great to have a coach or a therapist or somebody just on the outside, a mediator, to really kind of be able to give some observation to your relationship. So this was the book that our premarital therapist recommended that we actually read, and it was great. Okay, so it's a great book you can get on Amazon called Love Languages. And so, so I recommend you get the book, but here's a really quick overview about the book. So basically, Gary Chapman, what he talks about is that there's basically 5 core love languages, and that couples actually express how they love. And you can apply this certainly in spouses and relationships, but you can also apply this to parenting. And he also has another book that you can apply to the workplace. And so that's why I use this wonderful tool that he has created, but you can apply it in all these different parts of your life, from relationships, parenting, but also in the workplace. So here are the 5. The 5 different ways that people communicate that they actually care towards each other. The 1 is spending time, in no particular order, okay? 1 is spending time. Number 2 is acts of service. So that's actually doing something nice for somebody. So like maybe you're grabbing Starbucks, or you're kind of like, doing some errands for a person or taking on some of their workload. Number 3 is some kind of gifts. A lot of times people think gifts are, some big materialistic kind of thing that you're actually buying, but a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's like a small gesture. It's like a little, it could be like literally kind of getting them a cup of coffee, or getting for your kids, it could be like doing something like just buying them something that's really, really small, like a little magazine when you're traveling. It could be something really small. But it's like some kind of gift. When some people receive that, they feel really great. Number 4 is affirmation. Words of encouragement and affirmation is the 4th one. And the 5th one is physical touch or affection. So obviously for spouse, a lot of times that means sex. It could be hugs, it could be affection. With kids, it could be affection. In the workplace, it might be like a bit of a fist bump. And so you can apply these 5 different tools in different ways that are appropriate, obviously, in the different parts. So since we're talking specifically on relationships, decoding your relationships, I will just kind of emphasize, just kind of give you some examples of that. Okay, so these are the 5. And it is again, get the book. It's a great book. And it's really great to understand these are the 5 different ways that people really communicate that they kind of care about each other. So it's a fabulous example on really how to understand ourselves, how to understand other people. So what my husband and I did when we were dating is our therapist had us do something really interesting. She had us basically prioritize 1 to 5. How do I want to receive love from my husband? And how do I want to give love to my husband? Now, a lot of times those lists are the same. So for a lot of people, how I want to give is how I would want to receive, but not necessarily. And so it's really, really helpful to actually get people, I find, to do both sides. So you want to really understand, how does my husband really want to receive love from me? And how should I actually, what does he want to receive and what do I actually want from him? Because the challenge, as Gary Chapman writes in his book, is that a lot of us, we give what we really want, but what I give may not really be with what my husband wants and vice versa. And so that's where a lot of times people are missing each other. It's like, okay, I want affirmation, but you're giving acts of service. Like that's not really with what I'm looking for. And so the problem is that if we don't really understand what each other needs, then we'll miss it. We'll miss each other and we might not actually really feel loved. We might not really feel cared for. And so it's really important to hone into this. So the first thing I'd want everybody to do is get out a piece of paper and really articulate for yourself 1 to 5. And you can do it in a relationship context. You can do it in a parenting context. You can do it in the workplace context. But get out a pen and paper and think to yourself, how do I really want to receive love from my spouse, my kids, or in the workplace? How do I want to really receive love? And how do I love to express love and care to my spouse, my children, and in the workplace? And just really start getting clarity on what it is that you want and with what you value. And then ask those around you, ask your spouse, ask your kids, ask your colleagues to do the same exercise. And once you actually have that data, it's so powerful. So my husband and I did it when we were doing our premarital counseling. He loves to give acts of service, but I really love to receive affirmation. And so if we had not really done that exercise, we could have really missed each other. And so once he actually realized that I really like affirmation, then he was able to kind of adjust in terms of his communication style and vice versa. Communication is one of the core leadership skills. We all need to learn how to communicate it. If you haven't gotten my book, The 3 Chairs, I talk about being in that middle chair and learning how to really make sure that you're communicating healthy and well for yourself. We have a fabulous, by the way, leadership scorecard, relationship leadership scorecard that helps you actually look at some of these different kind of skills. So if you want to receive that, just type in receive below. Just write in receive and somebody from our team will actually send our scorecard to you. And that's a wonderful leadership scorecard. It's free. That helps you actually understand yourself and how you're actually doing in some of those core skills. One of the categories is on communication. So if your love language is an affirmation, I'd be very curious how you're actually measuring yourself in terms of like your overall scorecard. So you can get that for free. Just write in receive below. Someone from our team will actually send that out to you. And so with the love language decoded, again, you can apply this to your spouse, your parenting, but also to your colleague. The steps, once again, is make a list, get out the pen and paper, make a list. What do I want to receive, 1 to 5? How would I like to give these love languages, 1 to 5? And then get other people to do it. Get your spouse, get your kids, get your colleagues to do it as well. And then have a discussion. You can actually guess, okay, I think what you really want to receive is affirmation. They're like, no, actually affirmation is the number 4. It's like, wow, really? And so all of a sudden you're having a conversation with this. I'll give you a quick story. So I do some work at a fabulous camp in Canada. And I walk, it's a leadership studio within this camp. And so I was walking some of the students, they're all in grade 11 and grade 12, through this exercise. And not only did I have these teenagers do this exercise, I also had them guess where they think their parents, what their love languages of their parents. And they had this amazing aha awakening moment because they're like, oh my gosh, you know what? I love affirmation. Affirmation is number 1 for me, but I think my parent is like number 5 in terms of how they receive it. Wow, I think what they give is acts of service. And all of a sudden, they started having this amazing conversation because they were getting awareness, self-awareness, which is one of the first fundamental leadership skills all of us to develop. They were getting that awareness around, okay, here is really with what is important to me. Here is what I think they're trying to do. And once we actually have that awareness, then we can actually lean in and actually start communicating to our relationship partner, our kids, or our colleagues. You know what I really love is this. And that's when all of a sudden communication is really powerful. So that's why this video is called Love Languages Decoded. It's important for us to understand the love languages, the 5 love languages, understand with what we like to receive, with what we like to give, have that conversation with people around us. And then, final thing is that to really have amazing relationships with those around us, the intent, and this is the hard part, but this is really important, The intent is then to try to be intentional, to try to give to others what they really value. So if the other person really values affirmation, try to be intentional to give affirmation. So don't necessarily give what is easy for you. Give what you think the other person really highly values, and that's when all of a sudden relationships really start getting into really in sync with each other, and that's when people feel really loved and really valued. And that really applies to, again, relationships, your parenting, but also with your work colleagues actually as well.